So yeah, for those of you that have just joined us again, welcome along to the e-commerce success stories from the Entertainer. So I am Tom Rickards. So I'm obviously from Fresh Relevance here. I have been with the company for the better part of 4 years, 3 and a few. And yeah, I have previously been working in the account management team as an account director, and have quite recently moved over to head up our head of channel and partnerships team, which means that I now work very closely with Map, who obviously we've worked with for a very long time. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here talking with both them and Scott from the Entertainer. So Scott, I'll let you say hello first.
Hi, I'm Scott Humphrey. I'm the digital trading manager for the Entertainer and the Early Learning Centre. I've worked in e-commerce for about 6 years or so. I think I started in a fairly junior role and have just kind of worked my way up through. And we started working with Fresh and Map at some point last year.
Perfect. And then, yeah, we're also joined here by Josh from Map. So hi, Josh.
Hi everyone, nice to be on this today, and yeah, thanks for inviting us along. So yeah, I'm the principal account director over at Map, looking after our global retail and CPG clients, of which Entertainer and ELC, as Scott mentioned, have been a client for just over a year now, really, and obviously on here talking today. So yeah, that's one of our kind of joint clients. We also look after some other clients like Homebase, also kind of PepsiCo. Yisk from international retailer space as well. So yeah, looking forward to sharing some really good examples and yeah, some really exciting things happening at Entertainer, and yeah, looking forward to demonstrating these today.
Lovely stuff. So just a quick agenda for you guys then. Obviously we do the welcome and introduction now, and then really we're pretty much going to jump straight into it with discovering how the Entertainer turbocharged their customer journey. Once we have gone through and spoken you through some lovely examples from them, there will then be a panel discussion between us before we then open it up for a Q&A for anyone watching as well. So just on that note, then there is a quick bit of housekeeping to run through here. We're using Livestorm today to record the webinar live. The recording will be sent out straight afterwards for anyone that's signed up. So if you do need to run off for a moment, then don't worry about missing anything. We will send it around afterwards. And there is also a chat and a questions box available, as well as polls in there. So do please take part. It'd be really great to make this nice and interactive. And if you ask questions in there, then I'll try and run through some of those at the end of the session as well. Maybe just to kick things off, actually, it'd be great if some of you would feel free to volunteer about where you actually think you currently are in your personalization journey. Are you right at the start of things, kind of beginning? Are you kind of intermediate? You've got a few things set up, but you'd like to do a bit more, or is there anyone actually listening who's maybe bold enough to call yourself an expert? It'd be great to see some chat kicking off there. But yeah, I will just move on, and Josh, I'll hand over to you for this part.
Yeah, perfect. So I think the key thing really here from a Map and Fresh Relevance perspective is just how everything comes together on behalf of our clients and Entertainer in this case as well. So I think it is important just to understand the kind of the landscape. So Map as a business is a customer data platform, injecting lots of different types of important customer data into our platform. These can be e-commerce transactions, so from the website, can be offline transactions, so store tills and those type of feeds. It can also be behavioral data, what people are doing on the web as well. We've also got obviously the engagement data and the exhaust data that comes back from any channel execution, so things like emails and mobile push. So all of that data is really stored against that customer in what we call a unified customer profile. And then really where this comes together nicely and where the Fresh Relevance integration and partnership has been going so strong for us is due to the fact that we can layer all of this kind of segmentation and rich customer history and then deliver personalization at scale. So today we're going to talk around personalization at scale, both on the web, which Scott is an absolute expert. I would put him in the expert category. And then also, I would say that we also do execute on all of the outbound communications channels as well from a marketing perspective. So primarily focusing on email, but again, SMS as well, and other channels for some other clients. So yeah, just a little bit of a landscape slide for you guys today. Cool. And just a bit of perspective, so hopefully we can be kind of authority on why you should be listening today and why we think we're kind of experts in this space. Just a list here of some joint customers between Map and Fresh, who are all live clusters on the platforms between the two of us, and yeah, fully integrated, and yeah, using lots of different components of the integrated stack.
Brilliant, thanks, Josh. So yeah, just first of all, a quick bit about who we are for anyone that doesn't know already. So Fresh Relevance, we're a versatile decision and personalization platform for commerce-driven business. So the platform gives you the power to maximize customer experience, conversion, and loyalty. It offers an incredibly wide range of personalization tools and integrates with all of the elements of your existing tech stack. So it also tests, automates decisions for you, so that the right content is always put in front of the right customer. So the platform actually gathers data wherever your customers are going and then brings it all together in that one place with existing data that you have, showing real-time behavior and insight combined with the power to then actually act on it. Some of the kind of core product features include obviously cross-channel personalization, big part we're talking about today, dynamic images, product recommendations, data capture popovers, triggered emails, geo-targeting, social proof, the list does go on. But ultimately, we help digital marketers achieve their goal of boosting customer loyalty and revenue by creating an optimized journey across all channels and devices. And on average, our customers typically see about 25% of their online sales actually being influenced by Fresh Relevance. So why are we here and what are we going to talk about today? Always a good question to ask. Obviously, we're talking about one particular success story today, but I just wanted to go back a step and set the scene of the industry over the last year or so before we actually do that too. So we've all been operating in a challenging environment recently, I think everyone will agree. But inside all of this, there have been some really incredible opportunities. We've seen a huge increase of online shopping, and inside of that, some particular segments have seen incredible growth. This is probably the first time, maybe since the 90s, that we've spoken about catering for actually net new shoppers. And inside of that, there's a lot more shopper promiscuity. People are visiting websites for the first time. There's a lot of repeat business, but there's proportionally a very high amount of new shoppers too. So with more choice than ever before, it means that consumers expect brands to be excelling in providing a flawless shopping experience, no matter how they actually engage with your brand. So Walker recently released a study which stated that by the end of 2020, customer experience had actually overtaken price and product as the key brand differentiator. 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a great customer experience. And this is an expectation that is happening in all industries. It's not just e-commerce, but in media and financial services, recruitment, and so on too. Due to the lockdown, consumers have become used to spending more time indoors and on their screens. And I'm sure you all get the weekly updates from your phones that tell you how your screen time has increased again this week. I always get a little bit scared when I see them. The impacts of COVID-19 are definitely accelerating consumer shifts to online shopping as more people take advantage of online delivery and explore other contactless fulfillment options as well. So this graph shows you online shopping as a proportion of all retail. Last year, February 2020, it was 19.1%. This year, February 21, 34.5%. That's in the space of a year, an increase of 15.4%. It's massive. Certain shifts in consumer spending will likely persist as homebound consumers become accustomed to the new normal. We're all all very familiar with that term now. So whether that's through direct to consumer and digital commerce channels, and experts expect sales to permanently increase by maybe 10 percentage points is what's being bandied around a lot. I know clients of mine have experienced success over the last year, and they keep asking me if I think the trend's likely to continue. And whilst there's of course going to be some drop off as people go back to physical stores, that 15 to 10 sounds about right maybe. I think those numbers won't drop that dramatically. There's a whole new market of people that have never shopped online previously, that now feel comfortable in doing so. So that change in behavior is just highly unlikely to suddenly disappear now. I think it's here to stay. And following on from those quite high level stats, we delved a bit deeper into the retail trends with our sector benchmark report, specifically for toys and kids clients. So our report covers triggered emails, product recommendations, and personalisation, along with a look at how the web performance of Fresh Relevance clients compares with the sector average over the past 12 months. Now, our clients saw this is massive, a 1,722% increase in retail sales, specifically during Black Friday in 2020, and a 454% uplift in revenue on average over the past 12 months as a whole. So toys and games were by far and away leading the way throughout the lockdown months. As parents looked for ways to keep their children entertained whilst being at home, anything to kind of get a bit of a break from the homeschooling and that side of things, I'm sure as well. And just on cue, you might be able to hear my baby crying in the next room too. So as measures were lifted, this revenue increase declined until it sat at 103% normal revenue at the beginning of September when schools returned. And that's a 15.7% uplift from website personalisation alone. And all of this obviously leads very nicely onto the next section of this webinar. So Scott and Josh, I'll hand over to you at this point to please tell us about the great success that the Entertainers had.
Great, thanks, Tom. Yeah, so the first thing we wanted to do with Fresh is we have on-site carousels across the site. So we've got them on the homepage, we've got them on PDPs, and we've got them in the cart, all doing slightly different things, but all of them were being managed in an incredibly manual and time-consuming way, which was resulting in some really average kind of results. So the first thing that we did was to take all of the carousels on site and let Fresh handle them. So we kind of split test against the old method and saw a significant increase in interactions and conversions off the back of it across the whole piece. So the homepage carousel has traditionally always been about bestsellers. So we employ similar logic on that to begin with, using the kind of frequently purchased logic within Fresh, but also layering in the customers like you then bought, which is a really powerful tool. So it allowed a level of kind of personalization for those customers that we just couldn't provide before. And we've seen, as I say, really strong performance out of those. On PDPs, we applied a similar kind of logic, but along the lines of frequently bought with this. Again, it's a level of detail that the algorithm can provide that an entire team of merchandisers couldn't get to that standard. And again, so some really significant increases there. And on the cart, we use a completely different logic there and went with there's an impulse buy logic, which has been working really well for us. Beforehand, we were just going a really kind of blanket top line approach to here's just what we think people want to see. Whereas this is a much more targeted way to go, no, this is actually what they want to see. One of the things with these as well that we've been doing, which is great with Fresh, is that we can A/B test everything. So yes, we put all of that logic live on pretty much day one, and yes, it performed great against our old system. But ever since that, all I've been doing is constantly trying different logics, tweaking it, looking at whether the price point's right, looking at if those logics are correct. So even at the moment, we've got several split tests going on to try and target returning customers in a different way to how we're targeting new customers. And again, I was very pleasantly surprised by the conversion increase that we saw we're seeing at the moment on the most recent test. So I think that my kind of main takeaway on these is product recommendation stuff are absolutely great. And to be honest, it's the same with all of the things I'm going to talk about. Get it live, see the results, but don't stop there. Then just carry on tweaking, because you'll get more and more out of this the more you put into it. So the kind of second thing that we looked at was urgency drivers. So there were a few different urgency drivers that we've used on site. One of them, and the one we got live quickest, was social proof. So we've done tests previously with some other partners around social proof, and we actually could see the benefit of it straight away. So this was one of the things that we got live really quickly. So the logic base behind this is if we've reached a certain threshold of purchases in the last 48 hours, it will show a message showing the urgency that X number of people have purchased this in the last 48 hours. Which for toys in particular, especially over peak, is a great measure. It's a great way to kind of drive those sales quicker, because some of those key kind of trending lines, as I'm sure if you're a parent and you've tried to buy some of the hot toys at Christmas, they don't last very long. So kind of really getting home that message to customers has really worked well for us. We haven't had that many sales, but we've had a lot of views on those product pages, we're also showing a message on that saying, X number of people have browsed this in the past 48 hours too. So it really helps to drive home the urgency, and also to give that kind of crowd recognition for the product. Another urgency driver that we have been using, which I don't think we've got an image of, but is countdown timers for promotions. So in the wake of everything that went on last year, our promotional strategy has been quite a lot more aggressive. So we've been a lot more promotions. So to go with that and to really kind of drive how great these deals are, but to get across that they're only for a limited time period, we've used Fresh to again fire in countdown timers just to drive that urgency a little more as well. And again, we've seen from some split testing that especially in the last couple of days of the promotion, it's had a significant uplift in conversion off the back of that. One of the more recent things that we've been looking at is personalized content. So, and it's one of the things that I've really enjoyed working on. So this, in the toy industry particularly, and people that come to our site, we have a really broad spectrum of people that are looking for very different things. So we have, you have parents that are coming on to buy their present for their 3-year-old, all the way through to adults like myself who enjoy the odd Funko Pop, who are really looking for more of the kind of adult tailored collector's items. So previously, all we'd been doing is taking a very broad brush approach and putting on what we think would appeal to the most number of customers on the homepage. What we've just rolled out in it's only been out for about 6 weeks or so now, is entirely personalized pods. So these pods, the bottom two right kind of banners at the moment, will show a kind of generic message if we don't know anything about the customer. If they're new to the site, they'll show what we think are our best messages right now. For a customer that has been browsing the site a bit before, we will look at the brands that they've been browsing, and we will then show them relevant content for those brands. And it's just seen a kind of an amazing increase in click-through rate, because we're showing those customers exactly what they want to see. For me, shopping as wanting to buy the new Funko Pops, I really don't want to see Paw Patrol. It's not something that interests me too much. So it's had a really good effect on click-through rate, and then the conversion rate off of those pods have been far higher than if we're just showing customers a generic content as well. And this is something I think we're really going to focus on, trying to drive more of this, because I think it's really key, especially in the climate we're in now, to keep your customers as engaged as possible with the brands that they enjoy. And then literally kind of hot off the press, we only kind of have rolled this out last week, is on our kind of add to basket pop-up. So again, previously we've been managing this in a very, very manual way, and with the best will in the world, you're only going to be able to tailor, a small fraction of your product base, get these kind of tailored add-on purchase suggestions. Since we put it live, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, actually. Time seems to merge a bit at the moment. It's about 2 weeks ago. We've got a couple of different tests running it, but we've seen some really, really good results from that already. So the attachment rates that we've had on there have been well above my expectations. And again, we're trying different logic there. So we're trying, we've got some very basic logic there, as just using the similar product AI, and I've been working really closely with the guys at Fresh to kind of tweak how that algorithm is working so that it works a bit better for us. And the guys have been really great, really responsive with helping with that. We've also then split testing the frequently bought together logic against that as well, which so far is working pretty well, which can sometimes throw up some real curveballs. I mean, I've seen some very odd products occasionally that are shown there, but it's all based on customer behavior, and I would have, the team would have never kind of really thought about some of these products, but the conversion rates we're seeing of it just show that actually, these are the right products that we're getting in front of customers. So absolutely, that's been working incredibly well for us so far. But again, it just comes back to that key thing is, if it works first time, great, that's brilliant, but just keep testing, because we put the first variant live, it did great. Now we've got these 2 different variants being tested. On Early Learning Center, we have another different 2 variants that are being tested, and already the newer variants that we're testing seem to be showing even better results than the original variant. So there's just so much more that you can do with it if you put that extra bit of time in and just keep tweaking and refining it. I think Josh is now gonna talk through some of the email targeting.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. It's so insightful, and yeah, it's great to see that journey that you guys have been on in actually a relatively short space of time. There's a lot going on the website, and I know you're also using kind of lots of personalized banners and your Klarna messaging, which also went live kind of back end of the year. You're starting to promote some of that where you can and where it's right to do so on certain product lines. So yeah, lots of great stuff happening, and it's amazing to think how much of the site could be personalized. And I think you're adamant as well that there's always more to do as well. So yeah, I just want to take this now a little bit further. So yeah, what we're also doing, obviously Scott's really looking after that online kind of experience, but that experience also needs to kind of come through all of the marketing channels and the marketing output. So with all brands, I'm sure everyone on this call today will have some form of abandonment program going. It's a well-known tactic to be utilizing and a strong revenue driver. But there's some really keen and cool bits that is happening due to the kind of the integrations that we have available to it. So we've got the abandoned basket and browse ×2. We can change up the timelines, obviously. The first one goes out pretty quickly, 15-20 minutes after that session, to really capture it, because when a user's in market, they could potentially be looking at competitors' websites really pretty quickly, going to the dreaded Amazon as well, trying to sweep up a load of stuff. So we need to get out there with our messaging and our comms back on here as well. But not only are we showcasing the product, which also pulls things through like the live starred ratings as well from the website, which is a nice touch as well for a bit of that social validity. But we're also bringing through those recommendation products as well. So yeah, we're pulling through those kind of bestsellers, and we're also testing and learning on the logics and updating those accordingly. And you can see now we've actually just implementing that kind of Klarna message as well into the email. So again, it's progressive, it doesn't stop. It's something that we will constantly test and learn on the format. Tom, if you can move on to the next one, please. Yeah, so really, what are the core things? So recommendation blocks, as Scott mentioned, from an on-site carousel perspective, have been driving a lot of conversion rate. And we see this exceedingly well in email as well. So when we're sending our campaign emails for Entertainer, you can see on the right-hand side, this will scroll up now. The 6 products on the screen at the moment with the roundels on, or 8 products, sorry, just there, they are all kind of recommendation blocks served through Fresh Relevance. And even actually that secondary 3 banner in their emails here is also, again, coming through from Fresh Recommendations. So what do we do here from a BAU or a campaign perspective? Well, we can filter our recommendations to suit the product needs. So this was a bit of a lol dolls email, I believe. And therefore, we're actually filtering to the top line category of lol dolls, and then letting all of the algorithms and all the SKUs that are chosen be relevant to lol dolls. But again, having that kind of assurance that we're still showing maybe the best trending or the most successful or the things that are most in stock. Whatever the rules we decide upon, we can then go and make sure that we're putting that in front of the customer. There's also a lot of additional filtering that we've got on here, and there's another slide just after which is going to just showcase the different things we've got. But we've got badges now on our product sets which have things like 20% off, 50% off. these different types of things that, again, are pulling all of the elements that the web team have worked so hard to showcase online. We're pulling all of that into the marketing, especially around the email channel. So it is a live representation of what is on site. So it's a seamless customer experience from the email activity right through to that kind of online journey as well. You can see here we've nicely integrated some of the social proof and validity stuff onto the email activity as well. So that buying now is showing there. And you've also got some other cool things in here around, like, say, the live star rating, the age categorization, all which have been picked up by the Fresh script. And then also we've got options on here, and quite a common thing with obviously the discounting that's been happening over at Entertainer on certain product lines and certain product SKUs, this kind of nice idea of price with coupon. So somewhere else in that email there will be a coupon which would say get 10 or 20% off your next purchase for this couple of day period, and actually we're now showing the product recs with that price with coupon. So again, a nice way to make sure we're very accurate on what we're sending to the customers and showing the ultimate value of what they can do. And these things switch out. We don't always have it always on because obviously the promotions are not always live. So yeah, just nice things that we can do here as well. Yeah, Tom, if you just move on again. Also, as an important point, so obviously once we've got the users into the journey, great, we can serve them all of this kind of recommendation content. However, in the first place, there is that kind of data capture piece, which is equally important, really. So if you go onto the ELC or Entertainer as a new customer or a new person that is not currently on the CRM or kind of our database within MAP and Entertainer or ELC, you will actually see that pop-up appear. However, if you are on that database and you have already signed up, then this pop-up won't appear for you. So you don't get that kind of annoyance factor that some brands kind of always do upon entry to the website or once you've scanned 3 pages. There's some other logic in here, so it's not just bang instant. It's got some browsing intent behind it. And yeah, we make sure that we're obviously only targeting the customers who we don't have that email address for yet. And obviously it's really valuable for Entertainers to keep that list growth going as well. And obviously if a user decides that they don't want to receive that, then we also store that information and therefore won't show that again for at least a 30-day period. So it's not one of those that kind of constantly popping up on your face upon entry. And we've also done some test and learn around homepage versus product pages as well. And we found actually having on the homepage just makes sense, but just making sure we've got some of those balances and checks in place here as well. So yeah, if we move on to the next slide. Similar to Scott mentioned as well, he's been using on-site countdown timers. We've been pulling these countdown timers into emails. You can see an example on the right-hand side, just using this kind of, just again to increase that urgency expectation on kind of especially end now promotions. If it's the kind of last chance to have, then we would again have that countdown timer. And again, it's just showing off the skills that we can kind of utilize, but also it is a factor when kind of pushing that user over the edge because they want to use that 10% off and not miss out as well. Cool. And on to the next one, we have this kind of inspirational content. I say inspirational because it's pulled through automatically from Instagram in this case as well. So this is a bit of a screen grab from the map UI for Entertainer. And what we can see here, I think there's a little video that will play maybe on the next transition. You can see here on the 2 product block, we've also got the option to kind of change this out and select how many kind of items that we want to showcase. So we can easily flick this to kind of showing 3 images from social, or we can show 4 images from social. Again, this just dynamically changes out and it's all fully mobile responsive as well. So the team can also decide, do we want to stack it on mobile? Do we not want to stack it? And it's just nicely integrated and all that live content is already available as soon as we drag that block in into our template. So again, easy for campaign managers to utilize and something that we're actually using on things like our transactional emails to make sure the content is always relevant and always up to date, because again, we know it's pulling through the last kind of images that they wanted to have here as well. The extra option that we have here is we can filter to hashtags. So when we're doing certain branded campaigns for the business, we can filter to that hashtag to make sure we're showing that message for a certain campaign as well. So again, we can filter that Instagram content so it's not so diverse and make sure it's very targeted for certain types of campaigns as well. Cool. If we move on to the next, this is just one around the kind of ease of campaign build, and this is quite an important point for us. So we have a lot of blocks here that are pre-built with the HTML, which we can just drag in and then just pull straight in that live content that we have available to ourselves. So again, you can see here we've got our kind of sections within the website. You can see all of that live content from the recommendation blocks are all available in the UI. You've got all of our kind of fresh relevance blocks that we've built out. And here's we're just selecting like a 2 fresh product block. And again, if we wanted something different or a 4 product block, we can bring that in and then just easily drop in the what we call the fresh lot ID. And it will just change out that content. So as soon as we do something on the Fresh platform and choose what we want to filter on, we can save it, take the slot ID, paste it into Map, and it's straight available in our platform for tools and testing. So we find this is a really good way of saving time upon content builds. And Scott will know the Entertainer has lots of different kind of last minute decisions, and sometimes from a merchandising standpoint, stuff can go out of stock pretty quickly, and business change is what we need to kind of facilitate. So just being able to swap out those products, and also with the assurance that we're never going to show a product that is out of stock, it will change out and always be current. So if we sent something on the Saturday that had that product in and a user opened it on the Sunday and that product is no longer available, that recommendation would have changed out on their latest render of the email itself. Okay, cool. Yeah, if we can move on to the next. I think we're reaching our point of our Q&A. So yeah, hopefully that just gives you a good insight into part of the on-site journey, which Scott has kind of really given us a nice impression of, and then just some of the actual activity that is happening on the kind of email campaigns. And one that I didn't put into the slide deck, but it's just been utilized, is those personalized pods. We're also using that format through the web crop feature with Fresh, actually, and just injecting live personalized pods into all of the emails now as well. So again, a good way of showcasing newness and always being on brand, rather than having to keep swapping out static banners. We're using the kind of personalized pods now into the email activity. So all the hard work Scott does in terms of putting the right recommendations behind that, we then just lift all of that nice work and put that against the user. And again, they change out based upon the individuals. So again, it's a kind of a real cross collaboration between the channels, and hopefully a nice story where you can see on-site and off-site kind of personalization working at scale.
That was amazing. Thanks for that, guys. It's so nice to actually see everything really coming to life. Yeah, Josh, I think as you said at the start of it as well, that it's interesting that that you and I both see everything that Scott and the Entertainer have done as definite experts. Yet, Scott, you yourself say that there's more to do. There is always more to do, and that's the nice thing about it. I think you really hit the nail on the head as well when you were talking about just get something set up as the starting point and then optimize it from there. That's something that I've said to my clients for so long now. So to actually hear it coming from yourself is really nice to hear it said back to me. I love that. So yeah, thanks again. Let's go into some of the questions now in that case then. So first of all, maybe you've kind of answered some of these with the examples that you've shown us, but how did you build an engagement strategy with your consumers and actually create meaningful customer experiences?
Sure. I mean, so for me, I absolutely love online shopping. I do 95% of my shopping online. For the past year, it's been 100%. But even before that, so I know kind of what I like to see. And generally speaking, I think it tends to translate into what our customers like to see as well. Although testing sometimes proves me wrong. So one of the things, obviously, we've all been guilty of over the last year is using Amazon, maybe a lot more than we previously did. And one of the things that you can kind of see for Amazon, which you love to, everyone kind of, they do really, really well, is kind of showing you relevant recommendations and things like that. So for me, it was really key that, we need to compete with that. They're who we need to compete with a lot of the time. So we need to be able to have a strategy that is going to implement some of the ideas that they use on site as well. And then kind of make it our own and make it kind of specific to toys and to our company as a whole. So my main goal with doing this is just guided by the one principle really, which is show the customer what they want to see. And that's kind of guided absolutely everything. So, previously we just weren't able to do that. We were showing everybody what we thought was the kind of biggest launch at the moment. We'd be showing, if we had like a preschool launch like Peppa Pig, for example, we'd show all the customers that come onto our site Peppa Pig, which is great for about the 10% of customers that actually wanted to engage with that. But for the other 90%, we're showing them something that's completely irrelevant to them, which they're never going to engage with. So everything that we've done has been moving towards showing customers more engaging content, specifically focused towards their interests and towards them and what their buying behavior is. So that's kind of exactly how I've shaped the kind of online strategy. Josh, have you got anything to add from the email perspective?
Yeah, I think, like I say, it is this kind of progressive journey that we're taking the customer on. But you are absolutely right. I think Entertainer must have upwards of 10,000 SKUs on the website, especially across ELC as well. And you've also got business challenge as well. So there are certain sectors where, okay, it's April, we must push outdoor toys. We must get this through. So there is business needs to make sure we're making the sales in certain places, but there's also user needs, and that's a balancing act. And I think once you have the kind of technology enablement to be able to prove it with your optimization strategy and your kind of test and learn approach, you can also answer back to the business and say, okay, for the people who it's right to see outdoor toys and are in market, we are definitely going to push this, and we're going to push it harder than ever with these types of tools. But also those people who are, like say, maybe into their WWE and the great other brands that you support on the website, then let's show them what they want as well. So this is allowing us to do that kind of balancing act between business requirement, I believe, and also consumer requirement. And everyone says the customer's always right, always put the customer first. But I think it's tough when you're managing a business at scale. Remember, Entertainer and ELC are a heritage brand on the UK high street, over 170 stores. This is a big enterprise. So it's amazing the way that we've embraced this kind of technology and transformed that through the business as well. So through the stakeholder management and everyone being involved in this kind of digital journey together. So it is a digital transformation kind of enabler. And it's good to see some of the results coming through from that. So I think that's what I just add. It is kind of that test and learn, getting stuff live, making sure that you are constantly adapting. And yeah, keep that finger on the pulse. It's never just kind of leave it and let it run and just be happy with that first iteration. Because as Scott mentions, there's loads of little tweaks that actually can make a huge difference again. And you've already made one quantum leap, but it can keep growing. So and the fact that once you've started to understand the user and build up more and more data and more history, it just was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it just gets better and better. The algorithms get better and better. The AI starts working smarter and smarter. And with the tweaks that have just been made in terms of the kind of working off the breadcrumb stuff that we've been doing on the site with Scott, yeah, it really does make a difference. And it's that kind of like painful little details. But yeah, we always say that kind of, yeah, thousands of small improvements will make the kind of biggest impact. It's never going to be one huge crash bang change. Yes, you can do quite a few of them in one go, but actually you need to keep making those micro improvements, and then hopefully we see those trends. And yeah, this year around kind of October, Black Friday, I think it's going to be something special for Entertainer ELC, because yeah, in that Christmas period when it comes into Q4 peak for these guys, it really skyrockets as well. So all of the great work we're doing in setting up all of this activity, yes, it's paying dividends now as well, but it's going to be amazing to see that when it's huge traffic and huge demand as well.
I mean, there's a couple of things that I could add there as well. Firstly, that's not the first time I've heard Christmas planning spoken about this year, and we're only in April. So yeah, that's I'm sure a lot of people are running scared on that. So sorry, you referred to it as?
We refer to it as peak. I kind of refuse to say the C word until at least August.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Peak planning. But yeah, it's definitely on a lot of people's agenda already, although some of our listeners, I'm sure, are terrified by that word already. The other thing I really is just to kind of reiterate what you said. I loved it when you were showing the example of the frequently bought together and saying that, you know, that threw up some results that we weren't expecting, but actually we went with it because, you know, that's what the customers are buying together. It's such a kind of common challenge, and I mean, you both hit the nail on the head with the kind of consumer needs versus the business needs. It is all about striking that balance. But yeah, if you're saying these are what our customers are buying together, then that makes perfect sense to show them. I've often been met with kind of resistance to that sometimes, and it's yeah, like you say, a juggling act. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. So how has COVID-19 impacted the Entertainer and the ELC, and what changes have you made as a result of it?
So I mean, I think it's been absolutely huge. It's been, especially for us online, it's been a complete game changer. So yeah, the business, we have around 170 shops, which most of them have not been functioning for the past year. So there's been obviously been a huge shift to online and a huge focus from the business to online, which has resulted in maybe some intense scrutiny and some of the most stressful times at work of my career. But we've achieved some amazing things, so that's great. I think a lot of the problem for us was kind of, logistically speaking, scaling up your warehouse capacity to be able to deal with the demands that we had this year was a little bit of a challenge. I think we've kind of got some really robust systems in place now to deal with that. But we were having always at some points to kind of throttle what we were doing because we were driving too much sales, which is not something that you ever think of being an issue. But that was where we were in the position at the start. But I think the whole way through it, the main thing that my concern the whole way through everything that was going on last year was, how do we make sure that when we come out of this, that we can still sustain some of these sales, that we can actually keep some of these customers that we've just acquired. So Fresh has been like a big part of that for me. It's making sure that those customers that are coming onto the site are getting a really good customer experience. They are seeing all everything that they could want to see, and it's taking all of that, the huge amount of data that we've had, because we've had huge increases in sessions over the last year, and taking that data and turning it into solid actions that are going to keep customers engaged moving forward now that we're starting to come out of it.
Yeah, cool. And just to add, I think one quick thing from myself from there would be that I'm picking up on that keyword there that Scott mentioned around insight. So MAP is really all about that kind of insights to action. And what we're able to do now is take all of that behavioral data, some of which generated by Fresh, some of which is generated by a Map Acquire tool, and create really targeted, enriched segments where we're finding users who have purchased certain products over a certain time frame, what they've been browsing and what they've been looking at online, their behavioral traits, their category interest. And we're bringing all of this in and creating what we're classifying as kind of like these in-market audiences, and being able to do this on the fly and then go, okay, you're in market and that, and you're liking these type of products, and we can show you these products that you're liking, or we think you will like, because actually we know you've already seen some of these products in this category. So what we're going to do is we're going to exclude the products that you've already seen, so we're not wasting your time. However, we're going to filter to like maybe your best tag value category or your best brand that you've been looking at, and then showcase other relevant content to the user. So we're using technology as an enabler, as a point of difference. So it's not just saying, okay, because you've looked at this before, we're shoving it back down your throat until you try and buy it or turn off. We're actually using it in a much smarter way. So I think the insights piece is really important there. And it's also the segmentation that you can do, especially when you're looking at mass campaigning and some more of the automated trigger programs that we have. So things we haven't mentioned today around the kind of the price drop campaigns, back in stock campaigns are such a huge thing for you guys as well. And then also we're running kind of the post-purchase cycles and integrated reviews into Bazaar voice captured through Fresh as well. So there's lots of angles at play here, and all of these types of things again help to that journey and building out the overall reputation of the brand, and and again helping the conversion funnel. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, but the insights really is that piece, being able to see that data and then go and action it on your kind of CDP hopefully.
I think the kind of overriding, if you like, kind of topic on that as well is customer loyalty. You were talking about you've had a lot of new customers. How can we then retain them and hang on to them? And obviously the techniques that you're just talking about there, Josh, things like the Bazaar voice integration, the back in stocks, the post-purchase messaging, showing the right products. That's what's going to help actually retain these people and make them go beyond that kind of first-time shopper into to loyal customers. That's absolutely the aim. So it's great to hear the tactics that you're using to bring that all together. So what would you say has been your highlight during your time at the Entertainer and ELC?
The highlight, I think, we only acquired ELC fairly recently, so it's a few years ago, and due to the kind of nature of the negotiations and things like that, we found out about it fairly late, but had a very ambitious target of we want to get a new website built from scratch and live in, I think it was just over 3 months, and we absolutely worked our socks off and we achieved it. So I think that's kind of been my highlight at the business. I mean, from a personalization perspective, I think all of the great stuff we're doing with the homepage at the moment with the personalized pods and stuff that has brought me a kind of a lot of joy looking around the room and looking at other people's PCs and seeing that they've all got different content has been that's really made me smile quite a bit.
There's a question on which is your favorite personalization campaign that you've implemented. Would you say it's that one?
Yeah, I think I would at the moment. For the time being, I'm sure there'll be something else that kind of grabs my attention a bit more in the future. But yeah,
Most recent one.
Yeah, it's one of the most recent ones. Yeah, it's just really visible. It's just being able to kind of, you know, when we've kind of got it, when I first put it live and saying, "Oh, guys, can you all just send me a screenshot of what you're seeing right now?" And just seeing the whole kind of spectrum of different content that was being fired, all based on their browsing history, was just fantastic to just see. Well, you know, we're showing such an amazing improvement. It's so much more relevant, and the results have backed that up. So yeah, I think that's absolutely my favorite personalization piece so far.
Amazing. Josh, anything else to add on that?
No, I think Scott said it all, to be honest. Yeah. It's the results are coming through. I think what we have, and I'm sure the guys can put something in the chat, but we actually managed to write a kind of official case study with Entertainer as well, and I'm sure one of our marketing team will put that into the chat as well for the guys to kind of download. But it's just the scale really here, like we're talking about, and I'm not giving anything away by showcasing those. Like, over a 4-month period, we're serving over 300 million kind of dynamic variants on personalization impressions to users, and capturing over 50 million page views a month. So it's huge scale that we're doing, and there really is a lot of data that's driving all of these decisions. And Scott has the great ability to utilize this data and then bring it out and showcase the right content accordingly. So I think those are some key things. And by all means, obviously download that case study as well, which we'll put in the chat. And there's some more additional insights in there with something else you can see.
Lovely. Well, should we make this the last question? I think for anyone who's only getting started with personalization, or looking at improving their customer experience, where would you suggest that they start? I know I've got a few ideas, but I'll bat to you first.
I mean, the first thing I think is it's just a complete no-brainer is to get social proof live. It's fairly straightforward to implement. You can pretty much get that live day one, and it's going to have conversion increases on all your product pages. And it's so simple to do. I'd absolutely recommend that as one of the first steps. The second one I would just say is the recommendations. So there's only so much that we as human beings can process data and just make a decision on what those recommendations should be, and especially when you're doing it at scale across thousands and thousands of products, that there's no way that you can possibly do that, even if you have a huge team. So if you can get that into get fresh firing that as soon as possible from day one or very early on, I think that's also one of the biggest wins that you can do straight off the bat.
Perfect. Josh?
Yeah, I think if we're going into the comms channels, then it's those revenue drivers, just justifying that expenditure on the technology right away and recouping it. So everyone should focus on those kind of core abandonment campaigns, the recommendation blocks, and also the recommendation blocks at scale. So as I mean, like in newsletter, because when you're sending over kind of, I don't know, 1 million, 1.5 million emails potentially on a single send out, you want to make sure that content is really relevant to the individuals. So I think personalization at scale, especially through recommendation blocks, but also those automated hyper relevant triggers, again, you'll see that bottom line kind of really justifying that spend. And what we're also able to do is get that nice match rate up as well. So some of the technology enablements between the map and the Fresh platform, we're really able to see a really strong rate where we're pretty much knowing nearly half of the users on the website at all times. We know who they are and what they're identifiable to us. So such huge kind of identification rates allows us to be able to go and target appropriately and then utilize that data, obviously all in a consentable manner in accordance with GDPR and PII and all that type of stuff. So it's important to get those match rates as high as you can. and then obviously utilize that data in a really strong and positive way. And the feedback then from the customer base is very strong, because it's very relevant. You like kind of lower your churn rates and people leaving the brand, and you're providing a really strong and seamless experience on site. So yeah, hopefully it helps the conversion funnel, and as you say, then yeah, hopefully the sales and the revenues come on the back of it.
Perfect. No, I think I totally agree with that, actually. In terms of where it's, if we're talking about the kind of wider ROI from the platform, normally that in the first instance, at least, it is from those, get the basics in, the cart abandon, maybe then the browse abandon to follow in terms of the triggers that you're setting up. But I think you touched on it there as well. The thing to kind of remember with that is get that in there, so you've got your kind of bread and butter coming in. People are making those abandons, and you're getting the returns off the back of those. But you need the ID rate to back that up as well. So I think data capture is a really important one to not be overlooked there too. Obviously, some of the great kind of techniques that you guys were talking about as well, in terms of when you're using data capture, not just being annoying with it and jumping it in people's face repeatedly when they've said they don't want to receive it anymore, or when they're already signed up, is the kind of cardinal sin as well, isn't it? Yeah, ultimately doing what you can to identify as many people as possible, so you can send more of those messages, so you can make that whole experience more personalized for them across every channel. That's the long-term goal. But yeah, I think get the bread and butter in first, and then kind of bear that in mind as a stage two would probably be my answer on that one. I think that is it for questions. I can't see that any others have come through. I'll give you maybe a second if there is anyone else listening that wants to fire one through. I'll keep an eye on the chat. But in the meantime, yeah, let me just move my slide on. Josh, do you want to talk about the digital marketing playbook?
Yeah, so guys, just a couple of takeaways really for you guys. Some free resources that you can have from the session as well. So Matt, kind of towards the back end of last year, launched this kind of improve your marketing website. So it's a great place, great resource to go and download 100 kind of, I think it's over 100 now, kind of tactics and things that you can go and do across all your channels as well. And it has things like category triggers and product reviews, abandoned basket. This is just obviously 3 of the 100 and many more. So it's a great resource. So go and have a little look at. You can download the playbook, and there's actually a strategy blueprint where you can write your kind of marketing strategy in there, interactive, utilizing the tactics. So you can put in your own kind of current programs that you have in place, see where you might not have those examples and those key programs, and then you can kind of put a plan of action together and create a little PDF which you can go and use that as your roadmap. So yeah, definitely a nice little tool for you guys to go and take away with. So yeah, have a little look at improve your marketing firstly. And then I think there's one more additional thing which has just come out, which has been really hot for the press. So this was released actually last week, and then there was a webinar yesterday on this from a map perspective. But we've just commissioned a insights report really from Forrester. So on the slides and the takeaways, and also in the chat, we'll put these links. But yeah, download the latest Forrester report, which surveyed over kind of 200 and plus CMOs and CEOs. Yeah, and seeing what their true insights are and what they're looking to invest in 2021. So a key study really, but yeah, again, showcasing why insights are so important really, and what's happening in your particular sector. So yeah, download that Forrester report, and that's another kind of takeaway that you guys can have yeah, post the session.
Amazing. Yeah, I've had a quick skim through that one yesterday actually, and there's some really great stuff in there. So I'm looking forward to diving into it in some more detail. And I can see the links are in the chat already for it. So do please go and download that one. From our side, we're running a series of CRO lookbooks. There are specific industry-based ones. There is also the last one was on new visitors. This one is on returning visitors, or actually this is the ultimate e-commerce, which I think is a combination of both. But yeah, the lookbooks are fantastic. They're just a really nice combination of some of our kind of best client examples really, and they're broken into different areas as well, so it's well worth a look. I think that's pretty much is it from us. Sorry, just one kind of last one from you, Josh, on how we all play together.
Just from a consolidation perspective. So again, just some people would say, how does it all come together? But yeah, this is the kind of the core product set. So you can see Fresh Relevance at the heart of there with the hyper personalization at scale, and then the customer data platform being Map Engage, Map Acquire, which is an on-site kind of activity and execution engine to DSPs. And then our intelligence layer, especially for intelligence for retail, it's been a big part of the Entertainer. So we really understand kind of where we should be hitting next and what customers are really important to us, and making sure we're using the same segments across all of our engagement channels as well. So just a little bit further detail for you guys to finish on.
Amazing. Well, yeah, thanks everyone. I think that was a really great session. I loved hearing about all of those examples. So thanks again for sharing them. And yeah, if there are any further questions or anything, do feel free to send a note through afterwards, or find us all on LinkedIn, I'm sure, as well. But yeah, I think otherwise we'll leave it there. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.